Hello everybody, my name is Betha Ondieka and a very special welcome to my YouTube channel. First and foremost, I'd like to say a very special thank you to each and every one of you who's viewed, commented, liked, and even shared my previous video on self-care. I am absolutely so grateful for you. And without wasting time, let's go ahead and get started with today's video. Today, I'd like to talk about stress and depression. I will go ahead and define the two, state the slight difference, talk about both causes, signs and symptoms, and last and most importantly, talk about the treatment available for both stress and depression. So what is stress? Stress is often defined as a physical or emotional reaction or response to life situations such as change or some sort of adjustment. Depression, on the other hand, is a more serious and severe medical condition that often lasts longer and is characterized by extreme sadness, a sense of feeling of worthlessness and hopelessness, and an individual's disinterest in things that they used to be interested in. So what is the slight difference between these two? The difference between stress and depression is based on three things. Number one, an individual's functionality. Number two, how long it lasts. And number three, how severe it is. Oftentimes, people who struggle with stress are still able to function. They're still able to go about their day-to-day duties. Their symptoms will not last longer than 3 or 4 weeks unless it's chronic stress. And oftentimes, the symptoms do not get severe. People with depression, on the other hand, are a little different. Their symptoms often last longer, 2 to 3 weeks, even a month, and they get severe. The symptoms get more severe. And the more severe the symptoms are, the more it decreases their functionality level. So what causes stress and depression? There are a variety of reasons that could cause stress and potentially lead to depression as well. These things do depend from an individual to an individual. Oftentimes, an individual has the power and control over these things, but sometimes they have absolutely no power and control of them. So these causes include things like loss or death, natural disaster, chronic illness. This is some of the things that you have no power and control of them, but they can stress you, drain you, and potentially lead to depression. Other things are things like early childhood trauma, drug use, family history, financial issues, drug use, like I mentioned earlier. There are a variety of reasons that could potentially lead to stress and depression. What are the signs and symptoms for stress and depression? Now, if you have a loved one who you're trying to figure out, are they stressed or depressed? Now, pay attention, most importantly, to how long their symptoms last, how severe their symptoms are, and how well they function. Now, some of the signs and symptoms include irritability, insomnia, big one for depression, anxiety, another big one for depression, memory problems, disorientation and confusion, isolation, another big one for depression. Oftentimes people who are depressed, they isolate, they withdraw from people, they stay away from themselves. This is when their level of functionality decreases as well. So the same signs and symptoms for stress will work for depression. The one thing that you need to pay attention, the three things that you need to pay attention to is how well they function and how severe the symptoms are and how long those symptoms last. So the good news here is that there is treatment for both stress and depression. And let's go ahead and start with stress. Stress is not something that you need to go to a doctor and get a diagnosis and prescription for. Stress is something that you as an individual are able to identify, and therefore you need to get some self-coping skills to help you reduce or manage your stress level. Some of the self-coping skills are things that we are aware of, the things that we do, the things that we ought to do, but oftentimes we do not do them or we do not do them the right way. These self-coping skills include eating healthy, having healthy relationships. We undervalue the power of just having healthy and powerful relationships in our lives. Having a positive mind. This is another thing that we often undervalue. I always tell people, if you speak positivity into your life, you present positivity. If you speak negativity into your life, believe me, I promise you, you will present negativity into your life. So these are self-coping things that you can do on a daily basis to help you reduce your stress level. For depression, on the other hand, there are a series of treatment available for depression, and this things will depend on how severe your depression is. So let's go ahead and get started. Number one type of treatment available for depression is medication, and this medication are great, but they only relieve your symptom, and therefore you need to incorporate something else to help you fully recover. Some of this medication will include antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and antipsychotic. So like I mentioned earlier, they only relieve your symptom. The second type of medication is psychotherapy. This is a really good one that you can incorporate with the medication that you're taking. Psychotherapy is talk therapy. This is whereby you go into a session and talk to a licensed therapist or counselor. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, most times these people are qualified, they are licensed, they are certified, and they are good at their job. And let me tell you, a good counselor or therapist will give you the tools to be able to do it by yourself. They give you the power. They don't do it for you. And therefore, go into a session, go into a therapy session, talk to somebody. Another thing, if you're not able to see a licensed therapist or counselor, talk to anybody. Talk to a friend, talk to a neighbor, talk to a pastor, talk to a teacher, talk to a professor, talk even to strangers. I have had some of the best interactions with strangers. And I promise you, I gained so much wisdom. I was able to heal, and they were able to heal. So sometimes in society, we tend to undervalue just the power of sharing, the healing power of sharing our problems with other people. So psychotherapy is really good. And if you're not able to see a counselor, talk to somebody else. Number three is get social support. Have a support system, whether it's your family or friends or your co-workers. Get some sort of social support. If you have a loved one who is struggling, let me tell you one thing. Oftentimes they will not speak up and say, I am struggling with depression, help me. Oftentimes they will show some signs or symptoms. Be available. The best thing you can ever do to someone who's struggling is be available, so that when they need a shoulder, they can always lean on it. Number four is a total lifestyle change. This is very important. We often undervalue this one too. I always tell people, if you're stressed out or if you're depressed, identify what is depressing you or stressing you out. And this could take a while depending on how severe, mild, moderate, or your depression is. But once you identify what is depressing you, what is stressing you out, deal with it. So for example, you're struggling with an unhealthy or toxic relationship. Identify and acknowledge that unhealthy or toxic relationship is stressing you and it's leading to depression. And then deal with it. You can choose to change the habits that are toxic or unhealthy in that relationship, or you can choose to end the relationship. This is an easy way to recover from depression. Just really changing your lifestyle or identifying things that are stressing or depressing you. Lastly, are self-coping skills, the same ones that I mentioned in for stress. This will mostly work for people who have mild depression, sometimes maybe moderate, because they're still able to function even though they are depressed. So this self-coping skills, things like eating healthy, exercising. One really good way to deal with depression is exercise. Go out and be active, do yoga, go to the gym, do something that keeps your body active, eating healthy and having healthy relationships. Last and most importantly, like I said in my self-care video, you can get any sort of treatment you want, but if you're not consistent, if you're not committed, if you're not intentional, you will not get results. And we often tend to undervalue this. We often want to go for things, but we forget, if you're going to go for it, you have to be intentional, you have to be committed, you have to be consistent. Thank you so much. I hope this video created more awareness about stress and depression. If you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comment section. Feel free to reach out to me via my social media pages. I am more than willing to learn from you guys as much as you learn from me. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.